Nigeria's energy company, NNPC Limited, has cleared all speculations around its involvement or that of the government in setting up petrol pump prices. Now, the company re-emphasizes that unrestricted free market forces and foreign exchange rates are the most responsible for price fluctuations. But amidst all of this, NNPC Limited assures of fuel sufficiency nationwide. And that's our major story tonight. Hello there and welcome to the program. This is Energy and You, a show that brings you weekly highlights of activities in Nigeria's energy sector with a focus on NNPC Limited. I'm Egusa Igumbo. We also have more on Africa's energy security as Nigeria affirms its commitment to host the Africa Energy Bank. Details of these and other stories coming up in a moment. Please join us again. Thanks for staying with us. We begin with top energy stories making headlines across the globe. NNPC Limited and its joint venture partner Chevron Nigeria Limited have concluded the conversion of 5 of its JV assets. This is in line with the provisions of the 2021 Petroleum Industry Act, which provides for transiting of assets from the petroleum profit tax into PIA terms. Under the new PIA regime, all existing oil prospecting licenses and oil mining leases will be automatically converted to petroleum prospecting licenses and petroleum mining leases upon their expiration. With the joint venture obligations fulfilled, the partnership eyes 165,000 barrels per day oil production target by December 2024. NNPC Limited has signed a Memorandum of Understanding with China Engineering and Machinery Corporation for the co-funding of the Gwagwalada Independent Power Plant project. The MOU was signed in Beijing, China by NNPC's Executive Vice President, Gas, Power and New Energy, Mr. Olalekan Ogunleye, and the Chinese company's chairman, Mr. Zhang Daguang, on behalf of their respective companies. The 350 megawatt power plant project, also known as the Abuja IPP, is one of the major anchor projects of the Ajaokuta Kaduna-Kano gas pipeline project, aligning with Nigeria's gas master plan infrastructure blueprint. Once completed, the project is anticipated to boost power generation, create jobs, reduce gas flaring, and promote industrial development. Oil futures jumped in Asian trading at the start of the week as a potential hurricane system approached the U.S. Gulf Coast, and markets recovered from a sell-off following weaker than expected U.S. job data last week. Brent crude futures were up 71 cents at $71.77 a barrel. Prices had gained as much as $1 during early Asian trading before pulling back. While lower interest rates typically increased oil demand by spurring economic growth and making oil cheaper for holders of non-dollar currencies, weak demand continued to cap price gains. China's shift towards lower carbon fuels and a sluggish economy are dampening oil demand growth on the world's largest crude importer. This was the view of speakers at Asia's most prestigious oil and energy industry summit, also known as APEC conference. China's annual demand growth is reported to have slowed from between 500,000 to 600,000 barrels per day in the 5 years before the COVID-19 pandemic to around 200,000 barrels currently. That is primarily due to the adoption of electric vehicles and the use of trucks powered by liquefied natural gas instead of diesel. This year, concerns about weak oil demand in China, as well as plans by OPEC Plus producers to unwind supply cuts, have exerted downward pressure on oil prices, which recently hit more than 1-year low. Bloomberg News is reporting that Italy is looking to create a new company to build small nuclear reactors, and officials are in preliminary talks with state-backed and Saudo Nuclear SPA, state energy giant Enel, and the UK-based Nuclear to develop the plan. The move comes after the energy minister disclosed plans to draft rules to allow the use of new nuclear power technologies by early 2025. If the Italian parliament approves the draft legislation, it will potentially reverse the country's current ban on nuclear power production. Discussions regarding an international partner are underway, though a final choice hasn't been made.
Come on, let's go. for tomorrow.
You're still watching Energy and You. Now, the change in pump price of petrol has recently raised concerns for which clarifications are being made by key industry players on the operational indices responsible for certain changes within the industry. NNPC Limited, on its part, clarifies that neither the company nor the government determines market prices on crude products, but rather the prices are determined by free market forces. Here are some clarifications and answers to some of the burning questions.
In a chat with the media recently, NNPC's Executive Vice President Downstream, Mr. Adedapo Segun, stated that since the fuel market was deregulated, petrol prices are now determined by market forces rather than by the government or NNPC Limited. He explained that the Petroleum Industry Act PIA 2021, which established NNPC Limited, stipulates that petrol prices should be determined by unrestricted free market forces, according to Section 205 of the Act. Additionally, the foreign exchange rate, Forex, also plays a significant role in influencing these prices.
If you look in Section 205 of the PIA, and that's the act that gave birth to NNPC Limited, it tells you that petroleum prices or fuel prices will be based on unrestricted free market conditions. And so when you have a situation where fuel prices remain the same, that's what's unusual. You won't see that in other climes where you have prices fixed for a long period. It's actually supposed to move in consonance with the changes in market conditions. During the summer months, prices are high because it's a driving season. In the winter months, you have prices come down and things like that. So that's what the PIA provides for, and prices should move with the seasons.
On availability of fuel in the country, Mr. Segun highlighted that NNPC Limited, with nearly 1,000 filling stations nationwide, has collaborated with marketers to ensure that stations open early and close late in order to maintain adequate fuel supply to meet the needs of Nigerians. He emphasized that as more stations recalibrate, they will begin selling premium motor spirit PMS.
We're working with all of the marketers. You know, we have almost 1,000 stations around the country, but that's not enough. We're working with all of the marketers, engaging with them to ensure that fuel stations open early and close late, and make sure that there's enough fuel in all of the stations. So we are ensuring that deliveries are made to stations. We are doing our best to ensure that there are no diversions. But you know, when you have a situation, when you have a price change situation, typically it takes a few days for all of the stations to recalibrate their meters. So that's basically the situation we are in now. I expect that this will fizzle out within the next few days as more stations calibrate and begin to sell.
NNPC Limited continues to assure Nigerians of its commitment to guarantee national energy security through constant engagement of relevant authorities to ensure product diversions are prevented and timely deliveries to all stations are ensured. With the increasing spread of NNPC stations nationwide, fuel sufficiency is promised as more of these stations recalibrate and begin operations.
The increasing participation of indigenous oil-producing companies in the Nigerian oil industry is an indication that the oil sector is on the right path of growth, and the federal government is committed to its sustainability and development. Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Heineken Lokbobiri, reaffirmed this commitment when he hosted the management of Oando Energy Resources in Abuja. The minister promised the indigenous producers continued federal government support.
Senator Heineken Lokbobiri commended Oando Energy Resources on the recent acquisition of the Nigerian Ajib Oil Company, NAOC, adding that with the needed support, local companies can grow Nigeria's indigenous production capacity. He said the federal government will continue to create the best operating environment for the companies.
So let me first of all congratulate you, for the successful acquisition of NAOC, and I believe that this is the beginning of your new story. And I do know that Oando has enormous capacity in such a way that if given, the desired support, can grow our production in a manner that will be a game changer in this country. I've always contended that, the future of our oil and gas industry in this country lies with the members of IPPG, which Oando is a member.
Speaking earlier, the managing director of Oando Energy Resources, Dr. Ainoje Alex Irune, said Oando is the first Nigerian company to acquire two international oil companies after its earlier acquisition of ConocoPhillips and now Ajib. He commended the minister for his steadfast support and commitment to the growth of the oil industry.
But first, I want to thank you for your steadfast support, your commitment to the growth of not just indigenous companies within the oil and gas industry, but the industry as a whole. In everything we have done, Honorable Minister, we have sought to put the best of local content forward, inspire Nigerians to show that Nigerians can do it.
The recent acquisition of the Nigeria Ajib Oil Company, an international oil company by Oando, which is an indigenous company, is a major milestone in the nation's energy industry. With the gale of divestment by international oil companies, energy experts believe that only the indigenous companies in the sector can drive Nigeria's growth aspirations in the energy sector to fruition.
More commendation for Nigeria after securing a bid to domicile the headquarters of the Africa Energy Bank. Plus an update on the fight against crude oil theft. Please stay with us.
We are the largest single asset holder in Africa's oil and gas industry and poised to be the dynamic global energy company of choice. We are constantly innovating to be the prime company for energy sufficiency. We are NNPC Limited, energy for today, energy for tomorrow.
You're still watching Energy and You. Time now for an update on NNPC's fight against crude oil theft and pipeline vandalism.
The war on crude oil theft is on, and the industry-wide security collaboration on hydrocarbon infrastructure continues to record remarkable progress. At about 2 a.m. on the 8th of September 2024, a joint team of Maton Engineering Company, Tantita Security Services, the Nigerian Army, and Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps on night patrol discovered a large wooden boat illicitly loading crude oil from a barge AGS-01 at the Cawthon Channel 1 flow station within the OML-18 operating area. This was based on credible intelligence. The large wooden boat was caught receiving crude oil from the barge. The barge AGS-01 was towed to the Cawthon Channel 1 flow station by a tugboat MVAM-SO2, which is also in custody.
5 speedboats used in towing the large wooden boats to the illegal loading site was also detained. The particulars of the tugboat and barge used for illegal operation have been seized for further investigation. At Eferekiri and Okreka 6 in River State, 2 barges involved in illegal bunkering activities were also seized and the crew members arrested. Wooden boats transporting stolen crude were also confiscated at Akwa-Odogwa, Bile and Okreka in River State, Beni Krukru in Delta State, West Boma in Bayelsa State, and Ubuzo in Abia State. 63 illegal connections were uncovered in critical locations throughout the Niger Delta. In Bayelsa State, repairs were swiftly executed on pipelines in Golubokiri, Kponkpokiri, Cape Formosa, Nembe, and Konsho. Also in River State, illegal connections were detected and removed at Akwa-Odogwa, while in Abia State, repairs were carried out in Okwa West. But it wasn't just the pipelines under siege. Across the swamps and waterways, illegal refineries sprawling toxic sites of crude oil refining were destroyed. In River State, refineries at Okreka 6, Asaritoru, Ogu 6, Buguma, Asa, and Abiama were also destroyed. Abia and Bayelsa states were no exception, with Okwa, Obuzo, and Olugbegbene witnessing the destruction of these shadowy operations that pollute the environment and bleed the economy dry. In River State, authorities uncovered secret storage locations at Okreka 6 and Buguma Southeast, while in Bayelsa State, illegal crude meant for the black market were seized in Oloibiri, Kaima. In River State, law enforcement agencies intercepted a vehicle filled with stolen crude oil packed in jerry cans. The driver was also apprehended before he could escape. 48 of these incidents took place in the deep blue water, 81 in the central region, 134 in the eastern region, and 39 in the western region. 25 suspects were arrested, all of whom have been handed over to government security agencies for further investigation. Between the 31st of August and the 6th of September 2024, a total of 302 incidents were identified across various locations in the Niger Delta. The discoveries came from several incident sources: Tantita Security Services, Shell Petroleum Development Company, Pipeline Infrastructure Nigeria Limited, Maton Engineering Company, Heirs Energies Limited, Owando PLC, NNPC Limited's Command and Control Center, and government security agencies. For NNPC Limited, there is no backing down on the war on crude oil theft until the menace is eradicated for good. To report crude oil theft or suspicious activities within your area, call the numbers on your screen now, or send an email to report@stopcrudetheft.com. Handsome rewards await the whistleblower. Do your part. Report oil theft today.
Nigeria has promised to keep its commitment as host country for the newly established Africa Energy Bank. This promise was made during a visit by Apple's Secretary General, Dr. Omar Farouk Ibrahim, to the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Senator Heineken Lukbobiri, in Abuja. Energy and You was there.
During the meeting, the Secretary General of the African Petroleum Producers Organization, APO, Dr. Omar Farouk Ibrahim, expressed satisfaction with Nigeria's efforts so far, applauding the country for securing the hosting rights of the Africa Energy Bank headquarters. He highlighted that Nigeria's victory in this regard was not just a win, but a hard-earned success amidst a highly competitive selection process, while urging the Nigerian government to ensure all promises made to Apple are fully fulfilled.
This is my first visit to Nigeria after Nigeria had won the hosting right to the Africa Energy Bank headquarters. I want to appeal, Excellency, to you and to the government to do everything you can to conform with what you have promised Apple, promise that informed the decision to give Nigeria the hosting right.
The Secretary General also outlined 3 critical areas where Nigeria's commitment remains key: finalizing the host country agreement, preparing the headquarters, and bridging the gap between Nigeria's pledges and its actual deliveries so far. In his response, the State Minister of Petroleum Resources Oil, Senator Heineke Lukubiri, praised the Secretary General for his leadership, highlighting the transformation Apple has undergone under his stewardship. He assured the Secretary General on Nigeria's commitment to fulfill its role as host country and meeting the September deadline for the operational launch of the Africa Energy Bank.
That Nigeria is committed to meeting our obligations as a host country. We are working day and night to ensure that we meet up the September ending deadline. And we believe that we will be able to meet the deadline. Even if we do not meet the deadline, the whole of Africa will see that, look, everything is almost in place. And the bank, can actually, start off.
The minister reaffirmed that the Nigerian government is diligently working on 3 fronts: concluding the host country agreement, ensuring the headquarters is ready for operations, and settling any outstanding financial commitments. The establishment of the Africa Energy Bank is poised to bolster investment and drive innovation across the continent.
As part of its commitment to uphold integrity and transparency in its businesses and operations, NNPC Limited recently collaborated with the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission for a 3-day comprehensive training program for the management and staff of Governance Risk and Compliance Division and other business units of NNPC Limited. The training, held in Abuja, was facilitated by seasoned EFCC officers with extensive experience in anti-corruption efforts.
The training module, titled Corruption Risk Assessment and Red Flags in the Workplace, aimed to equip the participants with the necessary knowledge and skills to identify and mitigate corruption risks within the organization. Participants were engaged in interactive discussions, group presentations, case studies, and practical exercises designed to enhance their understanding of corruption risk assessment and the identification of red flags. Speaking at the event, the head business ethics of the GRC division, Mrs. Morjanatu Gamawa, highlighted the significance of the training in alignment with NNPC Limited's values of integrity and sustainability.
This training has given us the leverage to take the work we do further in collaborating with the governance and risk management to develop a robust corruption risk register, and then of course put in the priorities in terms of how we see the likely occurrence and a robust mitigation plan for that. That is a given. But this training would go further in ensuring everybody as a risk manager understand corruption risk, the impact, and how they would work within their space to mitigate those potential threats to the company.
The training covered a wide range of topics, including understanding the concept of corruption risk assessment, identifying corruption vulnerabilities in business processes, developing effective mitigation strategies, recognizing red flags and early warning signs of corruption, implementing robust whistleblowing and reporting mechanisms, fostering a culture of integrity and ethical decision-making.
This is meant to develop the capacity of the participants to be able to identify red flags, conduct risk assessment, identify risks relating to corruption, and then prevent occurrence, and then finally investigate.
Some participants shared their takeaways from the training.
As a company, this is one thing that would ensure that our profitability is well managed, our cost management system is well optimized, because as long as you can manage corruption risks, and then you're ensuring that your profits are well retained. And essentially, that's one of the big things that the business is supposed to do.
The value of imbibing the corruption risk assessment to our organization is that even apart from just reviewing your processes to identify loopholes that might, be in your processes, which can ultimately lead to corrupt practices, it also helps the company to have a high integrity rating globally. So this would ultimately attract investors to our company and increase our bottom line.
The successful completion of the training program underscores NNPC Limited's unwavering commitment to combating corruption, sustaining profitability for all stakeholders, and promoting good governance. By collaborating with the EFCC, the NNPC Limited has taken a significant step towards strengthening its anti-corruption efforts and ensuring the long-term sustainability of its business and operations, as well as guaranteeing energy security for the country.
Tomorrow. So come on, let's go.
And that's our wrap on the show this week. Thank you for investing your time with us. If you missed any of our previous episodes, you can catch up by scanning the QR code on your screen now. Remember to also follow us on all our social media handles showing on your screen to get updates of events in Nigeria's energy sector and other activities of NNPC Limited. Thanks again for watching. I'm Elgusa Igumbo. See you again next time.